Welcome to the Community Spotlight Podcast with my guest today, Superintendent Britton from the Bucyrus City Schools.
Hey,
I almost
thanks.
called you another name, Bob.
That's all right, man. Hey, thank you for having me on here today. I appreciate that.
Well,
thank you very much. It's always great to be on here and you're talking about the city schools and the things that are happening right out there right now.
Well, and you've got a lot going on. You know, we're getting now in December. Now we're in December, so at this point, I'm sure you've got a lot of holiday programs coming up. So maybe let's start off with that today. How do you feel about that?
You are correct, and there'll be a lot of classroom. I don't say program at parties and things like that. We're right in the middle of holiday season, so kids are excited, just coming off Thanksgiving, getting ready for Christmas, and Santa Claus and all the presents and things like that. But we do have music programming that's going to take place over the next couple of weeks. The first one will be on December 12th in the elementary school. We have two grade levels, second and third grade. The second grade class will have their program in the auditorium at the elementary school at 6 p.m. And then they'll be followed up by the third grade class at 7 p.m.
Okay, and what was the date on those?
That's December 12th.
December 12th.
That's Tuesday, December 12th. And then Wednesday, the very next night, December 13th, will be our senior high school Christmas program.
Okay.
And that will be in the theater in the high school. I believe that starts at 6:30. So we'll have back-to-back days, and those are mainly what we'll have as far as our Christmas programming for our music departments at that point. Wow. Because it's kind of difficult to find some time with your girls and boys basketball and wrestling programs and bowling all taking place during this time. It's almost like every night of the week there's something going on. So to try and find a night where it's free is kind of difficult.
Well, and that's one thing I can totally relate to because I do the scheduling here for things and a lot of scheduling, and it's like being an air traffic controller. You're just trying to keep things from crashing and burning, and you keep everything on the runway and keep the flights going like they should be. Yeah. Sometimes you have better days than others, but every once in a while you do have some things happen that sometimes you just have to go with the best alternative that you can do. Like you said, there's just so many things up, and
it's difficult to avoid all conflict.
Yes.
So you try and pick the dates that have the least amount of conflict in them. Our administrators in all three buildings talk very well and communicate with one another. With our athletic directors, making sure that we're trying to provide as many opportunities for kids with the least amount of conflict as we put out there.
Now, I read something quite interesting, and it's about some help you guys are getting for tutoring. Am I correct? Isn't there some things that some finances that became available to help out the Bucyrus City Schools?
Yes, that's correct. From the state of Ohio, they're trying to catch kids up who have a little bit of learning loss from the pandemic from a couple of years ago. Part of that is some high dosage tutoring that's focusing on English language arts and mathematics. Right now we have 24 seats for students in the middle school that's where we put our focus. Our high school kids have caught up fairly well. Our elementary kids are catching up. We're finding that our middle school students right now are probably in the biggest need category.
Yes.
They went through that whole the developmental phase from being a child to being an adolescent. Those are some rough years, and for those kids to go through 2.5 years of school that wasn't normal, where they weren't in every day, that had a big effect on them. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those kids. It's just, I think the developmental process or developmental phase for those kids at that time was greatly affected as opposed to the younger kids who may be a little more resilient, or the older kids who had been through enough schooling to understand that, hey, I can catch this up and be okay with it. Go ahead.
Well, discipline and structure. And when we had COVID, a lot of that, it's kind of like, well, you can do this at home. Well, I don't even know if I want to go down that road, but I don't see a lot of discipline and a lot of structure sometimes. And that's very key to everything. If you have a discipline, you have a time to do this, and the structure. Once that's taken away, that's going to hurt progress. I don't care what it is.
Oh, I agree, and we saw that through that whole pandemic situation. We see it now. I mean, your kids like, for as much as they say they don't, they do like structure and they do like discipline, just like any other human being does.
Yes.
You can fly by the seat of your pants every once in a while, but if you don't have yourself disciplined and structured, take care of what you need to take care of, things spiral out of control pretty quickly. That train gets off the rails in a hurry. So, we're working on that. Our new administrators in the middle school have done a tremendous job of reinstituting some of that structure and discipline, and things are going fairly well.
Well, and you've got two subjects there, mathematics and was it
English language arts.
English language arts. That especially, I think of those, one concept builds upon another concept, especially when I think of mathematics. And if you miss a day or two out of that, you're kind of in some deep trouble depending on.
Absolutely, you can be, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because it's just the way it is. It's like laying block or laying brick.
Yes.
There's certain precepts that lay upon precepts, and you kind of go from there.
Yes. A couple other things we got going on.
Okay.
We have we have the ability again with some additional funding that has presented itself. We are going to be able to hire a chronic absentee attendance officer. So
just
for the remainder of the school year,
for that.
yeah, we're going to have this person work with our families, work with our family advocates, to have that communication open between the school district and the parents, and understand, try to let them know how not attending school or absence from school is affecting the child's development and the child's grades. The importance of coming to school. We are now judged by the state of Ohio. Part of our metric is attendance of students at school. So we are judged on how well and how many kids attend school on a daily basis. So part of that, again, this officer will help us get kids into the school attending daily, and then preventing us from having to go to juvenile court through truancy. And the truancy process. So we're excited about that. We haven't hired the person yet. We have hired the person by now, but I can't remember her first and then last name at this point. But she's on staff and she's doing a very, very good job.
Well, there's just, again, if you're not there, it's going to be hard to teach you something if you're not there.
Absolutely.
And so that's not really an option. But if you're not there, and you can see why. Graded on that, like you said, the state's going to come in and they're going to say, hey, why do we have so much chronic absenteeism? You guys can only do so much with it. You got to get some cooperation.
Yes.
And, I don't know what the avenues anymore are to that, because I can remember the olden days it was different, but now everything's kind of changed. So, but I know you guys are working through it, but at least you're aware of it. You've got some funding to help to do with chronic absenteeism, to get an attendance officer to keep a little tighter reins on it. Correct? Isn't this basically what that's coming down to?
Yes. The thing that concerns me about these programs sometimes, though, Dave, is, these are all great. They're fantastic programs, and you're putting them in. You're entering them into your arsenal of weaponry, so to speak, to help educate the child to make a productive citizen. But let's say next year they don't fund them anymore.
Well,
are we going to turn right around and but be required to have them? Will this turn into another unfunded mandate from the state of Ohio that, this worked out very well, you guys should be providing this, but by the way, you don't get any more money for it. Right. You're going to have to figure out a way to fund it, which, that happens occasionally from the Ohio Department of Education.
Well, I always say the hand that gives it to you can also take that hand back.
Absolutely.
And
exactly
so that's the way funding goes.
Yep.
And since you have to deal with, just like all of us, you got to deal with these mandates and things as they come. And it's the hand. I always tell people, I hate, probably people don't like me using card analogies, but the fact of the matter is, if you got a bad hand, you're dealt a certain hand.
Sure.
And you got to deal with the hand that you got in your hand.
Absolutely. Yep. One other thing we got going on, I think, is very impressive. I think the community would be tremendously proud of. Is we have a cross-categorical unit, a multi-handicap unit within the district that we, have students that, need a little more help in functioning outside of, quote unquote, the normal 9 to 5 job. Right now, we have what we call Diner 104 within the building, and these kids will everything from cooking to serving to cleanup to, almost like a restaurant, running the cash register. And we'll do this twice a month, where the staff and some community members come in and we eat lunch at Diner 104, and the kids, are the host or the hostess and the cashier, and do all parts of running a restaurant or a diner, so to speak. Well, one of the kids had an idea. We have an old greenhouse out back. Yes, and one of the students in that class had an idea of, hey, what if we clean that greenhouse up, grow our own vegetables, and then sell those vegetables or use those vegetables in the diner? And it grew to, well, what if we get some chickens? And we put chickens out there. Well, the chickens, that's not going to happen. But they've been working out there over the course of the last 2 or 3 months, cleaning up the greenhouse, getting it ready to begin to grow vegetables for use in their diner. So it'll cut down on some of the costs that they spend at the grocery store, because they go to the grocery every week. They set the menus every week. They do all this stuff, but now they're trying to figure out ways that they can do it more economically and efficiently, which has been fantastic. And then we have some of our students within the high school who help with that classroom that are able to help the kids, and it's been a great partnership between all the students within the building, and we're getting a bunch of students involved that wouldn't normally be involved probably with one another on a daily basis, and it's fantastic. It's awesome.
I can see here, and then it's teaching them a lot of things there about how to manage a budget. Like you got to manage your food costs. You got all these various things, like you said. You can do fresh grown as best as you can with that.
Yep.
But we really don't want to turn this into Bob's brisket house.
Oh, no, not at all.
Or anything
not,
like
no,
that.
not at all.
But
Nope.
with those chickens, we could have a chicken shack.
Yeah, no, the chickens are gone. We're not having the chickens.
No chickens.
No, they only wanted the chickens for the eggs, for the salad. But then we said, no, we're not having chickens. But it just teaching life skills.
Sure.
Everyday life skills that they're going to need once they graduate from high school and they're out on their own. Hopefully they're going to take something from this experience with the greenhouse, and possibly working at a greenhouse later on, or working in a diner, or at a grocery store, trying to teach them life skills that they're going to need as they move forward.
Well, that's very fundamental, because that's something they're going to face all their life.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely,
to teach that, I think that's just a wonderful thing. There's relevance, and if you're somebody there now, the light kind of goes on with students say, oh, that's why I learned why I need to do this.
Right.
It's sometimes kind of the cart before the horse.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Is they say, well, I don't see any relevance to this. Then all of a sudden the light goes on. Oh, now I know why.
Yes.
Such and such is trying to teach me this.
Absolutely.
And that helps retention an awful lot.
It does. It
does.
does.
If you use it, you're going to tend to keep it up here in the mind where you need to have it.
Yep. And we've started some of this programming down with our elementary school cross-categorical unit and our middle school.
Right.
Our middle school kids are now going into the high school to help in the kitchen once in a while. We're learning basic cooking and life skills in the elementary school. So, this is just kind of building upon one another as we move forward from elementary and through high school, and have a nice program for those kids.
Bob, this is really exciting, good, very positive news.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just, we've talked about Christmas. We've talked about this attendance officer for those that are chronically, what I want to say, absentee.
Yep.
And tutoring. So, and now the restaurant. So that's pretty interesting. It's fascinating.
I tell you, there's a lot of good stuff going on in the district right now,
Wow.
and people need to be aware of that. And sometimes I don't think we do well enough communicating. Those are positives.
Yeah.
Too much negative gets out there in the world, and I want everybody to know that, look, there's a lot of positive things going on in your city school district. You ought to be proud of it.
Well, you're sitting across from a guy that wants to be the vehicle to help you guys to get this word out. Because our schools, I don't care what school district that you're in, we need to get the positive things that are going out, because like you said, people tend to hear negative things.
Correct.
But they don't have any idea what's going on a lot of this. And a lot of things are just hearsay. That doesn't mean things are always going to be sunshine and candy bars.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's just something that we try to get out a lot of what's going on and give you guys, all the superintendents, an opportunity to share that with us.
Yeah, and I appreciate you. Again, I appreciate you having me on today. And anytime I can come out and extol the virtues of Bucyrus City Schools, I certainly will.
My alma mater.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Yeah, and he knows that already. So Bob, you're smart, because you know how to use this guy pretty well. But no, I tease. I do appreciate what the Bucyrus City Schools are trying to get accomplished, and I think it's a wonderful thing. Anything else you want to add today before we probably do a wrap on this?
No, just that New Year's right around the corner. Let's have a great 2024.
I like that. We've got a little bit of 2023 to get
just a
through.
bit.
Go enjoy these concerts.
Yes.
And again, the one's on the 12th and one's on the 13th
That's
of
correct.
December.
Yep.
All right, see my memory. You actually remembered it. That's pretty good. Again, I want to thank Bob Britton, the superintendent of the Bucyrus City Schools, for being my guest today on the podcast. I'm looking forward to having you back in the new year. I got you all scheduled for
Yes,
next
you do.
year as you do.
Absolutely.
We got on that early.
I did.
Thanks, Bob.
Hey, thank you, Dave. Have a great day.
Okay.
Have a
you
Merry
too.
Christmas.
Okay, you too.